will tell you that there was a time when I believed I could not make it and living wasn't for me, and I was wrong.
It's often invisible to others.
I don't know how my family didn't know.
The pain can tear families apart.
It seemed unreal. It was nothing I ever expected, so I couldn't even comprehend it, the idea of it, what these people were telling me.
Now, those who have seen what mental health challenges can do say it's time to take the issue head on.
I always feel like if it's one life and if we don't even know about that life, to me that ties it all back to Jason, and it just helps me to kind of live a little bit in his name and memory.
With the goal of ending the stigma.
Hope is real, treatment is there. We need to do more in the mental health arena, but it's not hopeless.
This is a special WMUR presentation, Project Community, shining light on mental health.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us for Project Community, shining light on mental health. I'm Tom Griffith.
And I'm Jennifer Vaughn. It is a topic few like to talk about, but advocates say the time is long overdue to end the silence and the stigma surrounding mental health.
Chances are it's a challenge you or someone you know is dealing with right now. 19% of adults in the U.S., that's nearly 1 in 5, suffer from some form of mental illness. And there are more than 200 classified types of mental illness, from depression to anxiety, PTSD to schizophrenia.
Over the next hour, we're taking a look at the state of mental health in New Hampshire and what's being done to address it.
One pioneer took on the mission after almost losing his life at the hands of his own son. And he never imagined he'd be in that position.
Former Chief Justice of New Hampshire's Supreme Court, John Broderick, says his wife's love and determination helped an entire family heal.
And as WMUR's Gene Mackin reports, they are now helping other families do the same.
If you had told me 30 years ago I'd be doing this, I'd probably run from the room screaming.
But here they are, asking for their voices to be heard. Former Chief Justice of the New Hampshire Supreme Court, John Broderick, and his wife, Patty, want to talk openly about mental illness.
Don't think, oh, that could never be my family, because we would have said that. And it came knocking on our door.
John first became a justice on the High Court in 1995, but during his 15 years on the bench, his home, his family were nearly shattered. In 2002, Christian Broderick was arrested after beating his father in the head with a guitar as he slept. Before the attack, they sought help and treated their son with tough love for what they thought was alcoholism. Now John and Patty realize they didn't recognize the signs of severe depression and anxiety.
We failed our son in a lot of ways. I mean, looking back now, we didn't do it deliberately, obviously, but we failed him. And that really came from an ignorance about mental illness.
John was actually unaware of what had taken place. John was in the hospital, and I would go from the jail to the hospital to the jail to the hospital. I did hit rock bottom. And it was a pretty dark place. And when he got home, he was his mouth was wired, he had a feeding tube, I had to do all of that.
But then came a turning point for the entire family. Christian's mental illness was finally diagnosed.
Prison was actually what saved our son's life, because he finally was on the meds he needed, and we had our old Christian back.
John Broderick, while sitting on the highest court in the state, was also visiting his son in the state prison.
I went to the prison with Patty many times, and while my son was in the prison, I became Chief Justice.
In 2005, they showed their support when their son was paroled.
Channel 9 was there, and they asked us afterwards, if we had any comments. And I remember saying,
we love our son very much. It's been a long journey, and he's a good person.
My son is a really good person. He's a decent person. He's really smart and talented. And he had a problem. He didn't ask for it. He didn't deserve it. And thank God we all survived the crash, so to speak.
And now the retired Chief Justice has a new chief priority, teaching other people about mental illness, including the 5 Signs campaign.
It's with me all the time, Jen.
It's on our refrigerator.
I carry it everywhere. I give these out. We've given out over 400,000 of these cards. My son always says to me, Dad, I wish I'd seen that card when I was 15.
It really is incredible that you went from almost losing everything as a family
to rising out of that and decide that you're going to go help other families in such a public way?
Well, I'll tell you something. We didn't do anything, Jean, for a decade. I mean, you know, we're from the bubble. We don't talk about it.
But they want people to talk now, as the former judge says, without judgment.
I'm the least judgmental person I know now. I've learned a lot. We thought, well, maybe we can get people talking if we talk about our own family. And it has worked. And so this woman here next to me, who takes no credit, she's the reason our family moved forward.
Never gave up, and that's what I want my message to be: don't give up.
Hope is real, treatment is there. We need to do more in the mental health arena, but it's not hopeless.
For Project Community, Jean Mackin, WMUR News 9.
Later in this hour, we'll have more on John Broderick's story and look at the difference he is making by talking about mental health at schools across the state.
One devastating impact of mental health is suicide. According to the CDC, suicide rates were up nearly 50% in the Granite State from 1999 to 2016. It's now the second leading cause of death for 10 to 24-year-olds. Numbers that are all too real for local parents who have lost their own children to suicide. WMUR's Tim Callery has their story.
Connor Ball was an honor student at Exeter High School. Baseball was one of his passions, traveling to 21 of 30 Major League Baseball parks, but of course, his heart was always at Fenway.
He loved the Red Sox, anything Red Sox.
Connor had dreams of becoming a filmmaker one day, dreams that faded away on October 24th, 2011.
I went and got the boys pizza and brought it back to them. I thought they were all set. I went off to my board meeting, and as soon as I left, my phone acted really weird. And then I started getting these strange phone messages. And while I was gone, he had taken his life.
Connor was just 14.
Often wonder who he would be today, you know? And I just miss him a lot. But he was a good boy. I'm glad I had the 14 years that I had with him.
Jason Dickey was a graduate of Merrimack Valley High School, a hard worker and valued team member of Market Basket. He loved music and cars, and as his mom says, he had an unparalleled sense of fashion.
He definitely did. He believed for dressing where you want to go, not for where you are. Nice. Yep, absolutely. He did have a good fashion sense.
But above all, Jason was a family man, someone with a true heart of gold.
I think of just how caring and kind he was. He was a little brother. He had 3 older siblings. He was an uncle at a young age, and he was an amazing uncle, great son, and, you know, definitely just one of those all-around good kids.
September 14th, 2017, Martha was in Iowa for business when her phone rang. Jason did not show up to work. I
immediately reached out to my husband to let him know and started to book flights to get home because I knew something was wrong. And by the time I got to Chicago O'Hare, I was notified that Jason had died, that he had taken his life.
Jason was 19. Tara and Martha, once strangers, now bound together by their sons' deaths.
It's odd because when you meet someone who has experienced the same kind of loss that you have, it sort of brings this comfort to you, but at the same time, you're just so sad that they feel what you feel. It's an unfortunate club to be in.
The two mothers are standing at the forefront of suicide prevention, spearheading a bill that requires faculty and staff of state schools to go through training so they can identify and respond to signs of suicidal risk before it's too late. Governor Sununu recently signed it into law.
Thinking through, you know, what are some things that maybe Jason could have done differently? I was traveling, you know, could he have reached out to a guidance counselor if he had known that they were trained in that?
The two families have also created foundations and scholarships and participated in countless suicide prevention walks and speaking engagements.
I always feel like if it's one life and if we don't even know about that life, to me that ties it all back to Jason, and it just helps me to kind of live a little bit in his name and memory.
You know, I don't want Connor to be remembered because he died by suicide, but his death can and will and has saved other lives.
For Project Community, Tim Callery, WMUR News 9.
The state is playing a role in helping Granite Staters with mental health issues. At the beginning of the year, it released a blueprint for how it plans to address the crisis for the next decade. The plan seeks to tackle a range of issues, and as WMUR's Mike Cronin explains, it is likely to evolve as mental health does.
Taking on mental health, eliminating stigma, and making a systemic difference is a massive challenge. It'll take time, money, resources, all which state leaders say can be found within New Hampshire's 10-year mental health plan.
There's no politics here. It's just making sure everyone comes together and puts the best ideas on the table.
Rolled out in January, this 56-page report from the Department of Health and Human Services was crafted by those who deal with mental illness daily.
The vision for this plan was a little different than other plans in that our idea was to allow stakeholders, individuals, families. They were the ones that came together and essentially wrote the plan for us because they're on the front lines.
The plan takes an aggressive approach in its first 2 years. A new law has provided $10 million to create more space inside hospitals to treat psychiatric patients and reduce wait times in emergency departments.
That's been more than cut in half already. Provisions to put in prevention programs for kids, right? Really introducing prevention training for students, for staff, for teachers in schools.
One of the priorities of the plan is mobile crisis teams, which provide 24-hour assessments and help to people, resulting in less hospitalizations and incarcerations. Currently, there are teams in Concord, Nashua, and Manchester. The state's plan aims to expand them and create new ones in rural areas.
So that families or an individual that's in crisis has a choice other than calling 911 or going to the emergency room.
New commissions are studying mental illness in the correctional system and how to improve a workforce shortage in mental health fields, as about 10% of clinical positions have gone unfilled. Other highlights include peer support for people young and old, housing assistance, suicide prevention, all with a focus on improving and creating services.
Moving the children's unit to Hampstead Hospital, opening up more adult beds, creating a forensic hospital in the state. As those things move forward, that will have collective impact across the system.
The specifics of the plan are still being put into action, and there's a lot of work to do. As the mental health issue evolves, this blueprint will too, for the next decade and beyond.
What we're really trying to do is put an infrastructure in place so that folks can rely on it not 2 or 5 years from now, but 10 and 20 years from now.
For Project Community, Mike Cronin, WMUR News 9.
Every day, law enforcement experience the challenges of mental health issues firsthand. Coming up next, the ties to the state's opioid crisis.
Plus, the steps one Granite State Prison is taking to tackle psychiatric and substance abuse issues in inmates to help them succeed after their sentences.
And later, the stresses of school can be made worse thanks to technology. The local social worker helping students reconnect.
But first, a story of survival in their own words.
I first recognized that I had mental health issues or problems when I was a teenager. I had suicidal thoughts and I didn't really know what to do with them. I did have an honorable medical discharge from the military for my mental health issues. When I got home, I didn't do the right things and seek help like I should have. I wasn't eating, I just wasn't healthy. And I tried half-heartedly some outpatient programs, some new medications. It didn't work. I eventually resigned to the fact that I needed to go to inpatient and I needed something stronger. For anybody that's out there and experiencing crisis or unsafe thoughts, you know, remember that you are loved. There was a time where I felt that way and I still do at times. I love you. I love myself. It takes a lot of work and it's okay if it's hard.